In the distant reaches of the Andromeda Galaxy, on a planet shrouded in perpetual twilight, there lived an alien queen named Zalara. She was the ruler of the Zarathians, a race of highly advanced beings who valued strength, intelligence, and the continuation of their bloodline above all else. Zalara was revered by her people, but her heart was heavy with a burden she could not share. Zalara had been married to her elderly husband, Cryos, for centuries. Cryos had once been a mighty warrior, a leader who had guided their people through countless battles. But time had taken its toll on him, and now he was frail, his once sharp mind clouded by age. Despite his decline, Cryos still loved Zalara deeply, and he had always hoped that they would one day have children to carry on their legacy. But Zalara was barren. No matter what advanced medical treatments they tried, no matter how many ancient rituals they performed, she could not conceive. The Zarathians believed that a queen who could not produce heirs was a failure, and Zalara felt the weight of this judgment every day. She began to resent Cryos, blaming him for their inability to have children, even though she knew deep down that it was not his fault. One fateful day, Zalara made a decision that would change her life forever. She abandoned Cryos, leaving him in the care of their servants, while she fled to the far reaches of their planet, seeking solace in the wilderness. She could no longer bear the whispers of her people, the pitying looks, the constant reminders of her failure. She wanted to be alone, to escape the pressures of her role as queen. For years, Zalara lived in isolation, her heart growing colder with each passing day. She had no contact with her people, no news of Cryos. She convinced herself that she was better off alone, that she didn't need anyone or anything. But deep down, she was haunted by the memory of Cryos's love, the way he had always looked at her with such devotion, even in his final years. One day, as Zalara wandered through the dense forests of her planet, she stumbled upon a strange sight. A man, unlike any she had ever seen, was lying unconscious on the ground. He was human, with pale skin and dark hair, dressed in tattered clothing. Zalara had heard of humans before. They were a primitive species from a distant planet called Earth, but she had never encountered one in person. Curiosity got the better of her, and Zalara approached the man cautiously. She could sense that he was alive, but barely. His breathing was shallow, and his body was cold to the touch. Without thinking, Zalara lifted him into her arms and carried him back to her secluded dwelling. Over the next few days, Zalara nursed the man back to health. She used her advanced knowledge of medicine to heal his wounds and revive him from the brink of death. As he regained consciousness, the man introduced himself as Ethan, a scientist from Earth who had been on a mission to explore the Andromeda Galaxy when his ship had malfunctioned, sending him crashing onto Zalara's planet. Ethan was fascinated by Zalara, and she found herself equally intrigued by him. He was unlike anyone she had ever met, intelligent, kind, and full of curiosity about the universe. They spent hours talking, sharing stories of their respective worlds, and Zalara found herself opening up to Ethan in a way she had never done with anyone else. As the days turned into weeks, Zalara and Ethan grew closer. Ethan's presence brought a warmth to Zalara's heart that she had long thought dead. He made her laugh, something she hadn't done in years, and he listened to her without judgment, offering her comfort and understanding. For the first time in a long time, Zalara felt a glimmer of hope. But as their bond deepened, Zalara was plagued by guilt. She had abandoned Cryos, the man who had loved her unconditionally, and now she was falling for another. She knew that her people would never accept a human as their king, and she feared that her relationship with Ethan would only bring more pain and suffering. One night, As Zalara and Ethan sat together under the planet's twin moons, Zalara finally confessed her fears to him. She told him about cryos, about her inability to have children, and about the shame that had driven her to abandon her husband. Ethan listened in silence, his eyes filled with compassion. "Zalara," he said softly, "you can't let the expectations of others define your worth. You are more than just a queen, more than just a mother. You are a person with your own desires, your own dreams. And if you want to be with me, then we'll find a way to make it work. Together." Zalara's heart swelled with emotion. For the first time, she allowed herself to believe that she deserved happiness, that she didn't have to be defined by her failures. She leaned into Ethan's embrace, feeling a sense of peace she hadn't known in years. But their happiness was short-lived. One day, as Zalara and Ethan were exploring the planet together, they were ambushed by a group of Zarathian soldiers. Zalara's people had finally found her, and they were not pleased with her relationship with a human. The soldiers captured Ethan and brought him before the Zarathian Council, where he was sentenced to death for daring to consort with their queen. Zalara was devastated. She pleaded with the council, begging them to spare Ethan's life, but they were unmoved. They saw Ethan as a threat to their way of life, a symbol of Zalara's weakness and failure. In their eyes, the only way to restore order was to eliminate him. Desperate, Zalara turned to the one person she had abandoned long ago, Cryos. She returned to the palace, where she found her elderly husband sitting alone in his chambers, his once bright eyes now dim with age. When he saw Zalara, a flicker of recognition crossed his face, and he reached out to her with trembling hands. "Zalara," he whispered, his voice weak but filled with love. "You've come back." Tears streamed down Zalara's face as she knelt before Cryos, taking his hands in hers. "I'm so sorry, Cryos," she said, her voice breaking. "I was wrong to leave you. I was wrong to blame you for something that wasn't your fault. Please forgive me." Cryos smiled gently, his love for Zalara unwavering despite the years of separation. "There is nothing to forgive, my queen. I have always loved you, and I always will." With Cryos' blessing, Zalara went before the council once more, this time with a new resolve. She declared that she would step down as queen, relinquishing her throne to someone more worthy. She no longer cared about the expectations of her people, about the legacy she was supposed to leave behind. All she cared about was saving Ethan, the man who had shown her that she was worthy of love. The council was stunned by Zalara's decision, but they could not deny her request. As queen, she had the power to abdicate, and they had no choice but to accept her resignation. With her authority, Zalara pardoned Ethan and ordered his release. As Ethan was freed, he and Zalara embraced, their love stronger than ever. They knew that their journey would not be easy, that they would face many challenges as they navigated their new life together. But they were ready to face those challenges hand in hand. Zalara and Ethan left the Zarathian palace together, leaving behind the world that had once defined them. They traveled to a distant corner of the galaxy, where they built a new life, free from the constraints of their past. Zalara found joy in the simple things, watching the stars with Ethan, exploring new worlds, and learning to love herself for who she was, not for what she could or could not do. And though she never had children, Zalara found fulfillment in the love she shared with Ethan, in the life they built together. She realized that her worth was not determined by her ability to produce heirs, but by the love she gave and received. As for Cryos, he passed away peacefully, knowing that Zalara had found happiness at last. His final wish was for her to live a life free from regret, to embrace the love that had always been within her. And so, Zalara and Ethan lived out their days in peace, Their love a testament to the power of redemption, forgiveness, and the enduring strength of the heart.